June 22, 1941, 3:15 a.m. Along the eastern frontier of the Reich, from the Baltic marshes to the Carpathian foothills, the night shatters. Artillery flashes rip open the darkness. The ground trembles as thousands of guns fire in unison, their concussions rolling across fields still wet with dew. Searchlights sweep low clouds. Engines roar. Panzer divisions grinding forward, tracks biting into Soviet soil for the first time. German officers stand at observation posts, binoculars raised, faces calm, almost bored. This is not fear, this is expectation. Far behind the front, in command rooms lined with maps and pins, the mood is confident. Reports arrive on schedule. Timetables are being met. Soviet positions are folding exactly as predicted. The operation has a name that carries destiny with it: Unternehmen Barbarossa. In Berlin, Adolf Hitler has already made his conclusion. The Red Army, he believes, is a hollow force, bloated, poorly led, shattered by purges. A single, decisive blow will be enough. Weeks, perhaps months. The war in the East will be finished before winter. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel signs orders without hesitation. General Franz Halder studies the maps, nodding. Armored spearheads, Panzer Groups 2 and 3, are slicing deep, faster than anyone expected. Luftwaffe bombers pound rail yards and airfields. Soviet aircraft burn on the ground. This feels familiar. Poland, France, speed, shock, collapse. German soldiers march past stunned villagers, convinced they're witnessing history unfold in their favor. The Reich has done this before. The enemy always breaks. The pattern never fails. But war does not care about patterns. And as the sun rises higher over the vastness of the Soviet Union, something goes unnoticed, something no map accounts for. Not resistance, not orders, distance. A distance that cannot be conquered by confidence alone. By the third week, the dust no longer settles. Columns stretch for kilometers, trucks, horse-drawn wagons, fuel tankers crawling along rutted roads that were never meant to carry an army this size. Engines overheat, tires shred. Supply officers begin using words they were never meant to use so early in a campaign: delays, shortages, improvisation. At the front, the advance continues, but it is no longer clean. Soviet units that were supposed to disintegrate are fighting, retreating, then fighting again. Entire divisions vanish into forests and marshes, only to reappear on German flanks days later. Communications are unreliable. Radios fail. Orders arrive late or not at all. General Heinz Guderian's Panzer Group 2 pushes hard toward Smolensk, armor racing ahead of infantry support. The speed looks impressive on maps in Berlin. On the ground, it feels exposed. Tanks halt, waiting for fuel that doesn't arrive. Crews sleep beside their vehicles, boots caked with dust, eyes burning from exhaustion. Then the weather shifts. Summer heat turns roads into powder. Dust clouds choke engines and men alike. Visibility drops. Maintenance crews work through the night, stripping down machines already pushed beyond their limits. This was not supposed to happen yet. Not here. Reports begin stacking on desks. Soviet counterattacks, poorly coordinated, costly but relentless. Prisoners speak of new formations being raised farther east, reserves that shouldn't exist, losses that don't seem to matter. In Berlin, staff officers reassure one another. These are expected difficulties, friction. The enemy is dying faster than Germany is. But some numbers refuse to align. Ammunition consumption is higher than planned. Fuel stocks are thinner.
The front is expanding, stretching like a taut wire. Every kilometer gain demands more trucks, more men, more time. And time was the one thing this plan could not afford, because the invasion was built on a single assumption that the Soviet Union would collapse before it had a chance to adapt.
Early August 1941. Outside Smolensk. The air smells of burning fuel and hot metal. Wrecked tanks line the roads, some German, many Soviet, blackened hulks already being stripped for parts. The battlefield no longer feels temporary, it feels occupied, claimed. German infantry dig in where they were never meant to stop. For the first time, commanders speak openly about attrition, not defeat, just loss. Loss that cannot be replaced as quickly as it is spent. The Red Army keeps coming. New divisions appear with unfamiliar insignia, rushed west by rail, thrown directly into combat. Poorly trained, badly equipped, but present, always present. In Moscow, the Soviet leadership does not flee. Factories are dismantled and moved east. Entire industrial cities begin sliding beyond German reach. Trains run day and night. The war is not collapsing, it is transforming. At the front, German units encounter resistance that makes no sense. Encircled Soviet forces refuse to surrender. Ammunition runs out, yet attacks continue. Small groups fight until they are destroyed, buying time with their lives. Time. That word begins appearing in reports with increasing urgency. Luftwaffe squadrons are overstretched, flying constant sorties over vast distances. Aircraft wear down faster than replacement parts can arrive. Pilots land on improvised strips, refuel and take off again, exhausted, under pressure, bleeding strength. In Berlin, Hitler grows impatient. He demands results. The maps still show progress, still show arrows moving east, but now the arrows move slower. And then the arguments begin. Should the armor push toward Moscow or turn south to secure Ukraine? Resources are finite. Choices must be made. The quick victory is no longer guaranteed. It must be forced. This is the moment when certainty fractures. Not with a single disaster, not with one lost battle, but with the realization that the enemy is still standing and learning. The campaign was meant to end the war. Instead, it has begun something far larger.
September 1941, Berlin. The maps are still impressive. Vast red swaths are crossed out, replaced by German arrows pointing ever eastward. On paper, it looks like victory. In reality, the momentum is gone. Hitler interrupts briefings now. He leans over the table, finger tracing routes, demanding explanations. Why are units halted? Why are tanks idle? Why is Moscow still standing? The answers frustrate him. Fuel is rerouted south. Panzer divisions pivot away from the central drive, ordered toward Kiev. The decision is decisive and disastrous. Time bleeds away as armor turns, advances, fights, and turns again. Each success costs days. Each day costs strength. At the front, autumn arrives early. Rain transforms roads into mud. Vehicles sink to their axles. Horses collapse in harness. Men push trucks by hand, boots disappearing into sludge that clings and refuses to let go. The advance that once flew now crawls. Soviet resistance hardens. Fresh units appear before Moscow, Siberian divisions trained for cold, disciplined, waiting. Intelligence had dismissed them. Now they stand in prepared positions, rifles clean, artillery registered. German soldiers feel it before commanders admit it. The war has changed. This is no longer a campaign of movement. It is a struggle of endurance.
and Germany is not prepared for it. Winter uniforms are still in warehouses far to the west. Engines fail in the cold, weapons jam, frostbite claims fingers and toes. The idea of a short war collapses under frozen breath and shaking hands. For the first time since 1939, German units dig in not to pause, but to survive. And in that moment, the truth becomes unavoidable. The plan they laughed at failing has failed, and the cost of that laughter is about to be paid in full. December 1941, outside Moscow. The temperature plunges past -30. Breath freezes in the air. Metal burns bare skin. German soldiers wrap rags around rifle barrels, sleep sitting up, afraid that lying down means not waking again. The order comes too late. The Red Army attacks. Artillery erupts from concealed positions. Fresh Soviet divisions surge forward across snow-covered ground, skis slicing through drifts where German boots sink and stall. This is not a desperate defense. It is a counteroffensive, planned, supplied, relentless. German lines bend, then break. Units retreat without vehicles, abandoning guns they cannot move. Officers burn documents by candlelight, the flames barely visible in the snowstorm. Entire regiments pull back on foot, frostbitten, hollow-eyed, no longer chasing victory, only distance from annihilation. In Berlin, the illusion finally dies. Hitler issues orders forbidding retreat, demanding positions be held at all costs. The words mean nothing to men whose weapons no longer fire. The war he promised would end in months has consumed an entire year and now demands far more. This was the first mistake. Not the invasion itself, not the enemy, but the belief that certainty could replace reality. The Eastern Front will never close again. It will devour men, machines, and empires. Every disaster that follows, Stalingrad, Kursk, Berlin, traces its lineage back to this moment when confidence drowned out caution. They laughed at the idea of failure, and in doing so, they opened a war that could no longer be controlled.